Hi, I'm Nikki, the Obsessive Bookseller. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my Incomplete Series Challenge. I have tracked my Incomplete Series for years on Goodreads, and I go through phases where I focus really heavily on wrapping up series and other parts where I really don't care. I go several months without updating the list and I'm like, I'll figure that out eventually. Right now I'm just starting all the new things. It's that very self-indulgent, get the payoff now, worry about the consequences later. But right now I have this theory, this ongoing theory, that if I get myself down to fewer series going at once, I'll get much more reading enjoyment out of everything that I'm picking up. Because as it stands right now, I have so many open series that when I put down a book, even if I feel compelled to immediately pick up the next one, I don't. Because there are so many other things vying for my attention that I feel like I need to get around to reading. And a lot of that pressure has been lifted off of me because I stopped requesting so many advanced copies and I stopped signing up for so many obligations. I even quit my writing gig with AudioFile magazine because I wanted my reading life to go back to the way it was when things were simpler, when I was a teen, when I didn't have access to a lot of books, so I would just read series from start to finish, maybe mix it up here and there, but yeah, that simplicity is what I'm craving. And this theory can only be tested in one way. I have to actually get myself down to fewer series and see if that improves my reading life. Back in 2014, when I very first started working on this challenge, I had 129 open series. Holy crap, that's a lot. But over the course of a couple of years, participating in the challenge on Fantasy Buddy Reads, I whittled my way down to, I think, under 20 at one point, which was phenomenal. I abandoned a whole bunch of them too. That's one of the things that I'd never even occurred to me to abandon a series, but there's something very cathartic about officially saying, yes, I have so many things that I really want to focus on now that I don't want to spend more time on that one. It is not good enough to warrant taking attention away from these other more amazing series. So where I find myself now is with 57 open series. 18 of those open series are ones where I'm completely up to date with everything. So I've read everything the author has released. And so that leaves me with 39 series that I have been trying to rotate through, and I keep starting new ones, and that is way too many. Ideally, I think what would work best for me, considering how many different genres that I like to read, that being under 10 series would be totally ideal. Because then I could always have at least one kind of tome fantasy going, one lighter fantasy, one urban fantasy, one young adult, one sci-fi, and just give myself a little more flexibility within that. And of that 39, I've determined that 27 series are high priority or ones that I would really like to get back to. The others have been kind of set aside as it might continue, and I'll be having to look at that for some DNFs. But for the time being, 27 series that I am actively enjoying reading, that is way too many. Even if I read one book from each one, that's about a quarter of my reading year. So there's no way I can wrap up everything on this list within a single year. Now, I know this is going to be a long-term project, which is why I'm kind of turning it into a filming series, but my first order of business, this month is August, I am tackling kind of the bigger tomes, the continuations to series that are fatter books that are really quite hard to pick up when you're a content creator because people want to see the variety of things that you're reading, and if you spend your entire month on 2 books, that's not nearly as exciting as those thumbnails that say, I read 30 books this month. So I've noticed that little bit of tendency to be skewed towards the shorter books because they're quicker payoffs for content creation, but also for my own personal reading satisfaction because I'm very motivated by being able to click read on Goodreads. So for this month, I am tackling tomes, and this is the first month where I am taking a concerted effort to focus on series that I've already started and relying on my Patreon book club pick as a means to start new series. That way I still get a new series start payoff, but the vast majority of my reading is trying to help my outstanding series problem. So, this is the list. Okay, first off, the one series I'm starting is for book club. And we are reading The Amulet of Samarkand. And I've read it already. I breezed through it in like 2 days because it was so good. But because I liked it so much, I'm immediately picking up the next one in the series and hoping to just enjoy the whole thing throughout this month so that even though I started a new series, I won't be carrying it on. And I can't do that with everything, but these are so good that, yeah, enjoying it thoroughly. So don't mind continuing that. There are 4 in that one. I've been dragging this book around. It's called Shadows Past by Lorna Freeman. I've been dragging this one around for a couple of years now. Loved the first book. The second book was pretty decent as well. And this is the last one she has published. And if I read this one, then I'll cap off everything out. I'll be done. I have a lot of one and dones. In fact, of my 27 high priority, at least 10 of them, I've only got 1 book to go before I finish things. I'm also currently reading the most recent book, Soul Taken by Patricia Briggs. It doesn't even come out for another couple of weeks. And so it's really cool to be able to get yourself up to date before the book is even officially out. I feel like I'm such a badass. I'm ahead of schedule and everything. But anyway, another one, Rapture, 3rd and final book in Beldam Apocrypha. That'll wrap that up. For my Read Burn Hoard, I started the Terra series by Brian Naslund. This is the 2nd book, and I had just read that one last month. So if I can read a sequel to a book within like a month of reading the other one, that would be the ultimate turnaround for me. And I liked it enough to want to read on. In fact, had I not had so many books going at once, I would have picked this one up immediately, I think. But nope, too many other things vying for attention. So this is book 2 of a trilogy, and hoping to make quick work of that. Hunger of the Gods. I know I'm going to love this one. This will be a really satisfying completion. It's a really thick book, but reading this one would put me up to date in that series, be able to check one more off the list, and I know I'm going to love it. And now the currently reading stuff. So I wanted to continue Shadow Throne, book 2 in the Shadow Campaign series by Django Wexler. I read the first one back in March and actually finished it in probably May. It's one I had to put down in order to pick up something else that was more pending. But anyway, so I made it halfway through this one and realized that I just was not enjoying the story. I kind of felt like I was forcing myself through it. So this is really against everything that I'm trying to do lately, but I decided to set it down. So I felt like I was reading just for the sake of getting through the series, and that is not what this challenge is about for me. I don't want to force myself to read things just for the sake of completionism. So I made the decision to temporarily DNF this one. I know I want to continue it at some point, but reading through this book, it is clear to me that this is not a high priority series anymore. So what I'm going to do is mark it as unread, put it in a different category. So instead of having it on my high priority TBR, I'm sticking it in my might continue area. And so now I'm down to 26 open series. Already a win. And in its place, picked up Valor, one of the sequels that I have been just itching to continue. I really wish I had had the time to pick it up immediately after finishing the other one. But as it is, you know, picking it up now, it's like I never left off. It was so good. So this is the focus for the month. Couple of tomes, a lot of continuations. I know I'm not going to get through all of these, but the point is that every single thing I have on here, with the exception of the new book club book, is me making an effort to continue series that I've already started. I'll give you a few updates as I go through some of these, but next month, my goal will be to stack my TBR with a whole bunch of the onesie titles, things that'll help me bring up series up to date very quickly. So we'll go over that when I get to that point. I'm very excited about that prospect. Quick wins! I love quick wins. Hello, here with an incomplete series challenge update. So I think the biggest thing that's going to help me now is to get organized. Like, I know I want to focus on incomplete series, but I feel so scattered. I don't know what to focus on. So I'm going to show you what I've done on my Goodreads lists, because I think those will really help. And then I'm going to set up maybe a spread in my bullet journal to kind of help me track a little things more tangibly. So yeah, let me show you what I've done. So I know this is kind of a janky way of showing this, but I swear if I waited until I figured out how to film my screen on my laptop, you wouldn't get any content at all. So this is what we're doing today. I'm just showing you my computer screen. You can see I've got outstanding series listed out here on Goodreads. And this column here on the left shows how many books I have left to bring things up to date. So I think these would be really good to focus on to help get some quick wins. And then down here, a whole bunch of them with only 2 left in the series. So part of my tracker in my bullet journal, I think, is going to include that. But anyway, we've got all of those, and then I have a few that I haven't quite abandoned, but I don't have any gusto to continue, so they're just gonna sit there for a minute. These ones I'm up to date with everything the author has published. And this one, our series where there's no mention of when a third or next book rather will come out. Anyway, more interestingly, over here on my Goodreads profile, I made an incomplete series challenge page. And I think it's going to be the most helpful thing I've done. So I've got every book cover of all of the outstanding series that I'm working on listed here. And so when I'm in the mood to pick up something next in a series, all I need to do is come here and just kind of look through the covers and see what strikes me at the moment. And for the ones that I am focusing heavily on, 52 books. So to get myself back up to date with most of the ones that I have going, I have 52 books to read. If I focused on nothing else but this, I could do that in about half a year, but we all know me, I'm gonna start new stuff. Now, I do have an exception. I have so many books in the Malazan series that I'd like to read, but I didn't list those out. I figure we'll get around to that when I get everything else narrowed down a little bit. I don't know what the heck that is. Oh, Bartimaeus. It's a really dark cover. Anyway, just even compiling this was super helpful. I figured out that I don't have one left in the toll. I actually have 2 because there's a new collection of stories coming out at the end of the year, so I'm not as done as I thought I was. Anyway, let me get going on my bullet journal spread and I'll show you that when I'm done with it. Here's where we're at. I'm actually pretty happy with this. So up here, I have onesies. If I finish these books, then I'll either be up to date or finished with the series. So I think these are gonna be kind of higher priority. And then I've listed out everything else here to at least get up to date or finished with all of the higher priority series. Now, I left off a couple of really lengthy urban fantasies, and I left off Malazan, both of which I'll kind of attend to on different challenges or whatever. So yeah, this is actually not quite as long of a list as I was thinking it was. Even seeing it detailed on the Goodreads layout that I had with the covers, it still, yeah, seemed a little intimidating, but this is much more manageable. So I've set myself a couple of challenges. I'm gonna do a 3-for-1 challenge here on the left of this page. And basically, I need to bring 3 series up to date or finished for every 1 new one that I start. And then I have a spot over here to keep track of how many books that I read to progress the series. I really like the layout. I think it's going to help me quite a bit. I'm not quite sure how the 3-for-1 challenge is going to go. I only plan on starting 1 new book a month for book club, and then I usually have to start a new series for my Read Burn Hoard, and then I have Project Sci-Fi that I have going that I want to start new series for. And that would mean I'd have to finish or bring up to date 9 books every month before I can start new ones, and I don't think I'm going to be able to swing that. So I may not count the new books that I start for Project Sci-Fi and kind of treat that as a contained project, knowing that I'll get back to those books I started within that project. But I will include the ones we start for book club. So that's 3 I have to read for everyone. And then, I don't know, my Read Burn Hoard, I've only had 1 month, maybe 2, where I've actually wanted to continue the series that I start in a timely manner. So I'll kind of play it by ear on that one. But hey, as long as I'm reading towards this challenge, even if I don't do it perfectly, I'm still happy with what's going on. Oh, I forgot to mention, abandoning series also counts for my 3-for-1. So if I decide I don't want to continue a series, I'm totally counting that as finished. So that might help me decide to let a few things go that I'm just not enjoying. Okay, it's been 10 minutes and I already have an update. So I was looking through and really thinking hard about the series that I had listed as outstanding, and I am going to count Pokemon Adventures Volume 1 through 8 finished, because I picked up the 9th volume, which is Pokemon Generation 2, and the quality decline in that little book was so dramatic. Everything from the art to the dialogue, everything. It was just really shoddy compared to the first 8. So even though I have most of them at home, I'm abandoning that one. I'm actually considering the first set as finished, and then I'm just not going to continue the arc. So I'm counting that. Same with Mistress of Dragons. I read the first one. It was okay, but there isn't a cheap audio version available, and it's not good enough to physically read. So I'm going to mark that one as abandoned. I don't want to spend any more time on it. I have no intention of getting to it within a reasonable time frame. So that is what we're doing. All progress is good progress, and so now everything that I have left on this list feels really good. Hi, Nikki here with an incomplete series update. So since I have updated last, I have found that tracker that I created so motivating, and I'm in it full bore. Like, it is my goal to get myself down to just 10 open series at a time, not including ones that are up to date, obviously. But this month I have really allowed myself to appreciate the benefit of reading books more back to back and having more fun with them. Because I picked up a couple of books over the last month or so that really didn't have the same impact because I had forgotten key characters. I remembered kind of vague impressions of them, but I think had I remembered the moments, the small moments that everybody had shared together, I think it would have had much more of an impact. Otherwise, I'm just sitting there going, yeah, I know they're important, but I can't really remember why. So with this focus, I have finished all of the things that I had started in the last update. So Red Valor, second book in the Faithful and the Fallen, and yeah, there are so many POVs in this one. It bounces back and forth between like 10 POVs. And with the exception of 1 or 2 characters that took me a minute of racking my brain to remember, I could recall everybody. All of that detailed attention I spent in the first book remembering characters paid off because I picked up the next one within a few months of reading. So yes, getting to this one was definitely a benefit sooner than later, even though it took me like 3 weeks to read. I also finished the second book in the Bartimaeus trilogy really quickly after starting it because I'm loving the series so much. And I haven't done this since I was a kid, where I let myself just dive into a series and pick up the next book. Who cares if I have other things going on? I just want to see how it ends and just live in the moment of Bartimaeus' world while I can. So I have a copy of the third book, and I am rounding things out by ordering the prequel novel that also is within the series, and hopefully I'll have them read within the next couple of weeks. This is awesome to start and finish a series all within like a reasonable time frame, a month and a half to 2 months, because I'm genuinely liking it, not because I feel like I have to read it. And that's kind of how I used to do things when I was younger. If I found one that I really loved, I would just read them back to back. If I thought some were just okay, then I would splice them up with series like this. So read one, then come back to it, then read a different one, then come back to it. Yeah, I feel much more like my old reading self because of this series, and I'm very grateful. It helps matters that it was so addicting, like walking around my house, just kind of picking it up whenever I had a spare moment. Really cool. So yeah, second book is on the docket. We'll start that soon. I also finished Soul Taken, which I brought another one up to date, which means that I completed my first 3-for-1 tracker, and I am saving that to be started book for the next Read Burn Hoard novel that I'm going to choose. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick a one that's just only one book out in the series. So by reading that, I don't add to my ongoing problems. So that seems like a really smart use of that. Now I'm turning my attention to some of the outstanding series, the ones where I had only one left to go, and the one I'm starting with is Rapture by Cameron Hurley. Now, I allowed myself to go into the deep end of this. I thought I only had one book to go, but so many people have gone out of their way to tell me in comments that the short stories in this series are worth reading. So I decided that not only am I going to tackle this novel to bring things up to date and finish the series, but I'm going to do the short stories as well and be a true completionist with it. So I've already read one. It's Aftermath. It's like 20 pages long. It added quite a bit to the series for me, so I'm glad I read it. And I have another 20-page short story and then a compilation of a couple of stories that took place between the gaps of book 2 and 3. So a lot more page count than I thought I was going to have to do for this final wrapping up this series, but it'll be nice to have it finished. And it has been close enough that I think I still remember most of the characters. And then I am like 20 pages away from finishing out the Borderlands series by Lorna Freeman. And that one has been outstanding for 2 or 3 years now. It's taken me that long to get back to the book. And part of the problem is it was just a physical read only, so I couldn't add in audio here and there to get through it quicker. I really enjoyed my time with that one. And I think after I finish that, I'm going to focus on the Beldam Apocrypha stuff. I think when I finish that, I'm going to continue this awesome momentum I have going and picking up next books in series. The ones I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I will probably dive into. Yes, I'm feeling strongly motivated. I'm starting to immediately see the benefits of getting back to series quicker and feeling the lack, like the lifting of stress of having so many series going at once, having my attention drawn in so many different places. I find myself starting to rotate, even though I've got about 60 books to read to get myself kind of caught up. I find myself focusing on just 1 or 2 series at a time and kind of wrapping those up. And hopefully, when I get to the end of this project, I will be able to maintain it because I will have worked my way down to under that number for the second time in my life, which took so much work the first time and is going to take so much work now. I really hope that it sticks. But the benefits speak for themselves. Anyway, so as you can tell, this vlog turned into more of a reading strategy as opposed to a review of the books themselves, which I kind of like. I really love thinking about what books I'm going to read next. And it has been really helpful for me to not only come up with a plan, but make it solid enough to be able to convey on film. Thank you for helping me, by extension, get through this project. Going forward, I might do something where I give myself a time frame to see what I can do, how much progress I can make, and then make this kind of like a monthly updated thing, but I'm still not sure how it's going to go. But the one thing that I am committing to sticking to is that 3-for-1 challenge. I gotta buckle down and not just start series just because I feel like it. Okay, this seems like a really good place to wrap things up, and I will see you in the next Incomplete Series Challenge vlog. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know what kind of strategy you have. Some people think really hard about this like I do, so if you're one of those people, yeah, let me know how it's been working for you over the years. If you have one of those people who read series from start to finish just so you don't have any open ends, or if you're like me where you've gotten yourself in the deep end where you have so many outstanding ones that you don't even know where to start. I can relate. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to catch you next time. Bye.